Hi there, I'm Tony Glynn and welcome to the PGG Wrightson Stud Tour. Now this week we're at Trotter's Gorge, just out of Palmerston. We're with the Ritchie family. They've got Mount Watkins Dorset Down Stud. It's very much a family affair. The son Andrew started the stud when he was only 15 years old, attending Otago Boys High. We've got some amazing stock here. It's a beautiful property. Let's go and have a look around. Andrew Ritchie here at Mount Watkins Dorset Downs. Whereabouts are we, Andrew?
Tony, we're about 45 minutes north of Dunedin. That was called Trotter's Gorge, so we're sort of halfway in between the two farms that we run the stud on. So,
nice spot, not too far from the beach.
Yeah, it's beautiful actually. You see in behind us there, so we're only 2 minutes from the beach, and it's a sort of own wee microclimate up here, so it's a good spot.
Yeah. Now the Dorset Down Stud, what's the history there, Andrew?
I was at high school and I probably had a fair bit of an interest in the stud breeding side of things. And Mum and Dad, they had sort of 6,000–7,000 ewes at the time. They were using the Dorset Down terminal size and among others, and I always had a preference for them. The lambs seemed early maturing and they seemed to be the first out the gate at drafting time. So I guess I was on the lookout for anything we could, and David and Dawn Kennedy down to Tautau, they had a Dorset Down stud and we became family friends with them. So they offered up their capital stock line of ewes to us in 1999, I think it was. I was 15 at the time. And it just seemed too good to be true, so jumped into that.
Fairly young stud breeder?
Yeah, I was, but I guess I knew I had a bit of an existing market with Mum and Dad being there, and they were backing me all the way. It's always been a bit of a family stud. It hasn't always been run here. We initially run it at Mount Watkins, hence the name of the stud. My sister and her, my brother-in-law, they now run Mount Watkins. So we've relocated the stud down here. We sort of jumped at it really. I was a bit young, but we had an existing market to sell to. Dave held on to his Southland clients, so it gave us a bit of breathing space to try and generate some clients up in Otago. Didn't mean we had to go straight in and find a whole heap of clients overnight.
So 13 years on, still with the Dorsets, you obviously you like the breed.
Yeah. No, I think we made the right decision getting into the breed. Like I said, the growth rates, and I think they are still king. It's still the most profitable lamb you can get, the one that goes away off mum first, and you know, the Dorsets are hard pressed to be beaten for growth rates. So our idea was really to, they obviously got a stronghold in Canterbury and Southland, and our idea was to bring the strength of the growth rates down to Otago, and perhaps breed a line of rams that's more suitable to you know, perhaps the tussock country and that we run them on. A lot of guys do run them on the sort of the steeper country, so we've probably taken the frame size down a notch or two, and just make them more suitable for the clients that we've got here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really been the plan, to sort of turn it into a bit of an Otago sort of a specific Dorset Down stud. There hasn't been a lot of Dorset breeders in the region.
Because you get a bit of snow.
Yeah. It's a harsh climate. It'd be rare to get a lot of snow, but we do get enough that they have to be pretty hardy. They're put under a lot of commercial pressure.
Now there may be a perception, Andrew, that some terminal size just not too hardy.
Yeah, there is that perception out there to a certain extent, I think. What we've found is there's a lot of people now, and a lot of clients that we've picked up recently are coming back to the more traditional type terminal sire. We run them in a very commercial setting, and that is really what we're trying to achieve with the stud.
The studs run with the commercial ewes? Yeah,
run very much alongside the commercial ewes, really. It complements the commercial operation we've got here, but more so it puts real, you know, we're not a big stud in numbers wise. We sell between 80 and 100 rams a year. But we get the natural selection sort of pressure from running it with the commercial ewes, and that flows through into lambing time. The ewe hoggets are wintered with the commercial ewe hoggets, so that's really the strength of the stud, I believe, is that you're not going to come here and see a stud run in isolation, treated any differently to any commercial ewe that we've currently got running around the hills. Obviously they're all fully recorded, but they're essentially on a day-to-day basis run alongside the commercial use. So, and I think that suits a lot of the guys we sell to, because you know that they want to know that they're going to take a ram away from here, and it's going to be able to breed on. It's going to be able to continue for 3 or 4 seasons minimum. It's not going to pack up because it's been treated preferentially where it's been bred. So.
Yeah. And you start your culling process very early in the piece.
Well, I think the first culling process that we do is at lambing time. The lambs are all identified at birth, but they're not tagged until they're up and running. So they're given no assistance to stay alive at birth. If they fall over, they fall over. And I think that's following on from what David Kennedy, the original line of capital stock ewes we got. I think he was upward of 1,000 ewes at the time, stud ewes. So that they were essentially left to their own devices at lambing time, and the hardy survived and the rest didn't. And we're doing a similar sort of thing.
What have we got here, Andrew?
Well, this is one portion of the capital stock ewes coming towards the end of their cycle with mating. So I've got a couple of rams in there, another week to go. But that's basically the sort of the flock that we've generated over the last sort of 10 years. Lucky enough to start with an existing capital stock line, and I think that was a real strength early on. We had a high quality line of ewes straight away, as opposed to having to sort of mix and match together. It is a family stud, and that's why at the moment Mum and Dad are running it. They have been probably for 2 or 3 years now. I initially went overseas, and then now the banking career is taking me away from the farm. So it's been a pretty seamless hangover. They've always been part of it anyway. Yeah. So they're essentially doing the day-to-day running and that of it at the moment. And that's how it is. I mean, my sister and her husband, they buy rams, and they could easily come and run it if need be as well. So yeah, that's the way we sort of operate.
We'll go and see how your ma and pa are getting on.
Go and see them, eh? Yeah. God knows what they're up to. My parents, Tony. Tony, this is Ian.
How's it going, Ian?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So Ian, you know, you're running about 6,000 ewes there, very busy man. Why did you get into having a stud?
Well, mainly because Andrew wanted to. Like, I'm big on family, and any way I can help my kids, I will. And he's been passionate about sheep as long as I can remember. And he knows about sheep, actually. He's quite good. He's got a great eye for stock. So yeah, it just seemed a natural progression really, and to be honest, we were struggling a wee bit to get Dorset downs that suited our environment. It can be quite cold out Mount Watkins way at times, and get a bit dry. So we found that, you know, they were probably a bit big in the frame and probably weren't really designed for our type of country. But I liked them because they were a good, honest, genuine sheep. You know, we had Perindale Romney ewes, yeah. Put a Dorset over them, you got fantastic lambs. No trouble weaning 18 kilo lambs off the mothers, which is a big thing really. I mean, the less I see of lambs, the better, to be quite honest. I mean, I enjoy breeding them, but once the buggers are ready to go, they should be gone, you know what I mean? I don't want to be having lambs in autumn. I want to put it back into the ewes, and we had 400 cows in those days too, so they had to be looked after too, you know, so get as many lambs off the mothers as you can was my aim. Yeah. So we found the Dorsets were good, but we found that perhaps the ones we were buying were just a bit on the big side, so yeah, when he showed a bit of interest, it seemed a natural way to go to breed, you know, a sheep that suited our conditions, on our conditions, yeah. And it's just progressed from there really. Yeah. And he's been really lucky, like some really good top breeders like Bob Macefield, Alistair Bush, David Kennedy. They've taken him under his wing and been great to him actually, and given him some great advice, you know. Yeah, and it has really helped sharpen his skills as a stockman actually. So yeah, we're eternally grateful to those guys for that really. I don't see any need to change. I mean, they're doing what we want. I mean, they're going off the mothers quick and big, and you know, we kill most of our lambs between 18 and 20 kilos. We do buy in a lot of store lambs, and they're, you know, all sorts of breeds, and there's none of them beat the Dorsets. Like, there's nothing like picking up a Dorset at tailing time, a big strong lamb. You can hardly hold on to the bugger, you know. It's a great feeling really that you bred that, you know. And yeah, no, I like them. They're good sheep, good honest sheep. Yeah, and the sort of thing we're working on is sheep that, you know, for minimal grass can give maximum kilos of meat. You know, a bit like a motor car, really, less petrol in for the speed, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And I'm pretty keen on that really.
The history of the Dorset Downs going way back, where are they from, Andrew?
Yep, I'm not a historian, Tony. But my understanding is it comes from Dorset in England, obviously. I believe there's a mixture between the Shropshire, the Dorset Horn, and obviously the Suffolk, which the majority of the terminal size has a base. And I think that was bred, I wouldn't know when exactly, but we are obviously going back a while in England. And then it was brought out here, I think originally very early on, not long after the turn of the century, early 1900s. Initially, it didn't really gain a great foothold, but then I think it was reintroduced 50s, 60s, sometime around there. I know the Macefield family had a bit to do with it, and since then really it's grown, and now it's it's one of the predominant sort of terminal side breeds in the country. So it's probably now more of a New Zealand breed in some respects. Yeah. I don't know of the ewe numbers in the UK where it comes from, and Dorset obviously in England, but my understanding is that it's a much more prominent breed out here in New Zealand than it is in England at the moment.
You've thrown a few other breeds into the mix there now.
Initially to meet the market, we chucked a Texel ram over some of the ewes. That's growing with each year, and now we're selling probably a third of the rams at crossbred that we sell. I think guys, you know, they're chasing the yield market a lot, and And we've tried to meet that basically by offering anywhere between 20 and 25 sort of Texel Cross rams up a year. And we do have a good following. A lot of it came initially out of existing clients just wanting to try the Texel Cross. And then more latterly we've gone down the South Down route. This will be our third year now mating the ewe hoggets to a South Down ram, and we sell what they call the South Dorset as well. A lot of guys put over the hoggets for mating, and other guys just prefer the South Down cross in there. So and I think it helps also with the lambing the following year with the tudus and that sort of thing. If they've lambed as a hogget, they seem to know a bit more about it when they lamb as a tudus. So
yeah, you haven't always done that though.
No, this is our third season doing that. So in some respects, the jury's still out as to whether or not it works for us. But we're having very limited problems at lambing because of it, and there seems to be a strong market there for the crossbred rams. So,
yeah.
But no, the Dorsets are still king. We still sell predominantly, well, 75% of the crop each year would be the straight Dorsets, and we were very lucky early on in that we had an existing market with David Kennedy. He sold a lot of rams down south for us, and it gave us time or a bit of breathing space to sort of generate our own clientele base up here. And we've been able to do that now, and we've got a pretty strong sort of client following now, I think.
Jim Lawson, no stranger to the stud tour. We've seen you before. Jim, we're at Wakawaiti.
Yes, Wakawaiti, Wakawaiti's about 30 k's north of Dunedin.
Yep.
And it's a coastal, as you can see. Can get dry.
Yeah.
Summer dry. It's our biggest issue. Looks nice at the moment, but if you have an issue there's very little irrigation or country that can be irrigated around this area. There's a dairy farm right beside Wakawaiti that's irrigated, but that's the only real irrigation there is about. And summer dry is the major issue.
Yeah. Beautiful tussock country, and gets fairly steep too.
It does, yep, it does. We're about 2,200 hectares, fraction more, about just over 2,000 effective.
Yeah.
A long, thin place. The south branch of the Wakawaiti River runs through this property.
Oh yeah.
Through the hill country, which is great for water as we were talking about, summer dry.
So you've been sourcing your terminal size from the Ritchie family for a few years now, Jim?
Yes, no, at least 10 years. Not more than 10. First of all, from Andrew really, began as terminal size stud, mainly Dorset down then, or straight Dorset down when he was still at school. And his father has looked after it at times when he's been away, furthering his farming career or rugby career, and no, it's been good. Yeah. And we've now shifted to buying some Dorset down Texel crosses and South down Texel crosses. Yeah, no.
Yeah. You're using the terminals in quite a big way.
We more and more.
Yeah,
yep, we are. We're shifting. I think with technology now, we can get our breeding ewe lambs out of a smaller number of our mainline ewes, so it allows us to put anything we don't quite like the look of to a terminal sire, and just build up those lambs that obviously mature earlier and quicker, and you can get away before we get to, those years where summer dry can have an effect on us.
Yeah.
Any significant difference between the breeds?
Yeah.
A lot depends on the type of season you've got. Most of those, if they're well bred and the right sort of rams, good conformation, their lambs are the same, and we find that it's more dependent on what the season's like, how things are growing and how they do, and they all seem to be much for muchness at the moment, but that's where Farm IQ might come in a bit. And
well, you're doing a lot of monitoring there, aren't you?
Yeah, and the EID tagging.
Yep.
I think in future we'll be able to specify which lambs those rams come from.
Pick your ultimate.
And it may well be that some of those breeds are more active as rams. I've got a sneaking feeling about one breed which I don't think is as active as others, but yeah, of those terminal size.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm not. They might work at night when I'm not watching.
Yeah. And you're not getting all your rams from the Ritchie, so all the same, are you? Not all your terminals.
No. Some of our terminals come from another local ram breeder.
Yeah.
And so we have a little bit of
a
cross section. And as I said before, the terminal size, they're not leaving stock that you're going to be breeding from, so they don't have a long-term effect in your flock. It's just that season. And no, we have and there's always new crosses, etc., coming through, and that's where the Richies are where we find them interesting, because they've always got something a little bit different.
Robin Gamble here with PGG Wrightson's at Allington. Now, where's Allington?
Well, it's just on the outskirts of Dunedin, I suppose, probably halfway between the airport and Dunedin City.
Oh, yeah, yep.
So a lot of traffic goes by here.
Yeah, and you're an Otago man from way back, Robin.
I've spent all my days in the livestock industry in Otago, so in different areas and different agencies throughout Otago, but basically this is where I'm from.
Yeah, yeah. Now, you're servicing a lot of the bigger blocks up in the hills there.
Yeah, I got a mixed client base, but most of them are up on the hills, and a lot of people get the impression of the Tyree here and don't see the hinterland, a massive hinterland up the back here,
Yep.
huge tableland, and very, very, very good livestock area, very strong.
You'd have noticed a lot of changes.
There has been, but surprisingly enough, we up the hill haven't been affected with the dairy growth quite as much, because as soon as you go up that hill over there, you hit 2,000 feet pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty good country, but snow country, cold country, but
Yeah.
reasonably large spreads and runs, so established country.
Now, you've had quite a bit to do with the Ritchie family and the Dorset Downs there, Mount Watkins, Dorset Downs.
Yeah, well, I have indeed. We've had I've had a pretty long association with Ian over the years, from way back when he first shifted down here from Oamaru, and that's a long, long time ago, and he went to Mount Watkins, so I've had a lot to do with him and his stud.
Yep.
And the stud suits us guys down here pretty much because of we want hill country sheep.
Yeah.
And Ian breeds hill country sheep, so that's the attraction really.
Yeah, and you're placing a few of those around on the bigger places.
Yep, they're going. They go pretty well. We all want reliability around here. As I say, we get a bit of snow and
Yeah.
gets cold, and we want things to recover. So I found them pretty useful, pretty good sheep.
Yeah. Grant Bazette here at Hillcroft Farm. Whereabouts are we, Grant?
Lake Manarangi, which is it's on the. I always tell people it's on the road between out from the Middlemarch and halfway up there at Leastroom School. You turn off left and head towards Lawrence. There's a hydro lake there, so it's just out in there. Bit of country not many people know much about. There's a fair bit of area out in the back of the hills there.
Windy sort of a joint, is that just today, is it?
Careful, well, there's a few windmills on the skyline up there, so that must tell you something. You do catch a bit of wind here, and we catch a wee bit of snow, but good day like today in May, you've got to make the most of these good days.
So what sort of size property and what are you running here, Grant?
I've got 590 hectares here, running about 5,500 stock units, where we've got 3,700 ewes going to the ram this year and 1,150 hoggets, a few cattle with some 90 odd rising, 2 cattle and a few calves I've bought this past autumn.
Now I see a few Dorset Down rams out there with the ewes.
Dorset Downs, yeah, I've been buying Dorset Downs from Andrew Ritchie since he started the stud when he was still at school. I think he was when he first started. Used to live next door to him in Wackawhite, and he was needed a few terminal sires up there, and so I got a few Dorset Downs off him then, and continued up until now with buying a sheep. They're doing the job for me, yeah.
Yeah, and have you tried a few other black-faced breeds there?
I have in the past. I've got an odd Texel. I've got a Texel here which I've used as I've kept a few of them as replacements out of some Highlanders, because I'm a bit of a Perrindale man myself as a maternal line, and came here with some Texel Romneys and some Highlanders, so I've used the Texel over the Highlanders. They've got good fertility, the Highlanders, but need a bit of constitution and a bit of meat put on them. So that's what I'm doing with the Texel, and then I've put the Dorset Down over the Highlanders, over some Texel Romney ewes I had, and also over the Highlander Texel Cross, the younger sheep that I'll bring them through. So I'll always have a place for 45% of the ewes go to a terminal sire, so I'll always have a place for Dorset Downs, and just put the rest to Perrindale.
So getting some fairly good lambs by these Dorset Downs, Grant?
Yeah, we are, yeah. No, some quite good lambs. They're probably, the faster growing, bigger lambs and faster growing lambs than your straight Perrindale, most likely. And they got plenty of meat on them. Andrews, they're big framey sheep, Andrews, and he's just getting more and more meat on them now, so they're actually very good rams. They've got plenty of meat in the loins, plenty of meat in the back legs on them, so yeah. Shoulders aren't too big, so they pop them out pretty good too.
So it's a real family affair up there with the Ritchies?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I think there's a few corporates now with their crossbred terminals that they've got. You've got the Lamb Supremes or these the Risen Highlanders, the Highlanders I've got here. But yeah, they really care about their sheep when you're in a family situation, and that's what they want, good sound sheep, and the backup for their clients. So they're not just clients; they're actually friends. So yeah, it makes a difference.
Eligible bachelor into your sport, you quite enjoy the refereeing.
Yep, done a bit of rugby refereeing, but yeah, no, the search continues on the eligibility front. Yeah, I mean, yeah, do the rugby refereeing and play a bit of squash and that sort of thing in the social time. So yeah.
Now, what about hunting? Any pigs around here?
Yeah, right into the pig hunting. Got a brother-in-law that's mad keen on it as well. So no, this area is very well hunted.
Nothing around.
There's nothing around. We've to be fair, over-hunted the area, but we're both very keen eyes. We'd know the sign if it was about. Yeah. And you wouldn't be able to hold us back. But no, I can pretty much assure you won't be able to find too many pigs around here today, Tony.
We've seen the lamb prices soaring up this season. Tempting to bang the prices up of the rams.
Come right out with it, don't you, Tony? I mean, I guess the theme of the stud really is we're trying to breed a commercial ram that's not only the right size for your commercial farmer, but also the right price. Yeah, there has been a strengthening lamb market in the last couple of years. There has been at times a bit of pressure to put the price up, but then you've seen the back end of this season that it's fallen away again, and that has been the trend over the last decade, to be fair. So we haven't got any moves. We sell them in around that $500-600 mark. We don't see any reason to be putting them up until the lamb market was to stabilise. So no, we don't see any reason to be hiking the prices at this stage. It's probably a short-term lift in the lamb market. And we've got guys that have been coming for 10 years now, so I think it'll be pretty short-sighted to start charging them more when in reality we know in 2 years' time it wouldn't be justified. So. But there's a lot of guys that are coming in that, whether it be they've tried crossbred rams or whether they've got crossbred flocks, that are probably looking just to straighten things up a bit, get a bit of constitution, a bit of grunt back into them, and they're going down the Dorset down sort of traditional terminal sire. And we're getting a lot of guys that are coming in and just basically wanting to go back to perhaps basics with the sheep. As long as they're going to breed on, guys like that will keep coming back because they are producing the growth rates. So as long as we're producing a sheep that we're confident is going to go anywhere and have the longevity to last, then I think we're going to continue to see guys coming in for that reason.
On the meat side of it, Ian, how do you see the future of lamb in New Zealand?
Well, at the moment I'm a bit mystified really as to what's going on. There's too many ups and downs really. It's no good like this. Apparently there's demand for it, but the marketing side of things is all to hell, I think. The sooner these meat companies get together and we have a single seller, the better, as far as I can see. Competing against each other, it's not right. Like it's not the future, I don't think. I don't really know where we're heading, to be quite honest. It's a bit of a worry. I mean, we've got store lambs here that we bought in December for $95. We could kill them now at 19 kilos and we'd barely get our money back. I mean, it's not really a way to make money, is it? And they've eaten a hell of a feed, and yeah, there's a lot of people in that boat, so yeah, it's not ideal really. It's got to be sorted out. And yeah, I honestly believe that it should be like a Fonterra system where we get a flat rate right through the year, say $6 a kilo, and depending on what month you supplied the animal, you get a bonus. If it's the middle of winter, obviously you get a bit more, another $1 a kilo maybe. And if it's in the main season, which is December to sort of March, you might get another 20 or 30 cents a kilo, not much, and I think that's the way it has to be done. And we have to try and balance it out a bit. Like $8 in the spring down to $5.50 now is just ridiculous, really. And nobody can do business like that.
Ian, you've obviously worked fairly hard to get where you are, and would you quite like to see the farm stay in the family?
Yeah. Firstly, I would like to say that my wife should be here, Wendy, but she's a bit camera shy. Yeah. But without her, we wouldn't be here, I don't think. Like, she's worked her backside off, really, and she's as good as any man I know. Like, and she's got a team of dogs, and she's a good stockman, So I would like to make that point clear that it's a team effort, really. And as I said before, with the 3 children, they've worked too. I've got a photo of Andrew at about 6-year-old, and a set of moccasins and a towel crutching lambs. He wasn't doing that, but he was having a go. So these kids have been a big part of what we've achieved, and I really want that. So I see it as even though it's in a family trust at the moment. But they're all involved in that, and whether they want to farm it or when we're gone, whether they want to lease it out or whether their children want to farm it, I don't really care, but I hope it does stay in the family. I don't want to see it sold. Yeah. It's taken a lot of bloody blood, sweat and tears to get it, so I want to keep it in the family, if I can anyway, or if we can. Very important to me, really. That's what it's all been about, to be quite honest, as far as I'm concerned. Family.
For more information on the PGG Wrightson Stud Tour, visit ruraltv.co.nz and come and join us on Facebook.